So now I want to talk about personal branding because it really is one of the secret hacks that I have to getting people employed within a very modest period of time. You get all sorts of opinions about resumes and cover letters and so on, but I just go with what I know works, and I come back to the fundamentals. What is the document trying to do? The document has to elicit interest in bringing you in for an interview. Most companies are set up to screen you out. They want to not waste time interviewing the wrong candidates, and so they use the resume as the first port of call to screen you out. And so that's why it is the most critical document that you will ever have. It literally will dictate interview success and getting in the door, and you want to have a very, very high strike rate. Now, I have run resume writing businesses for many years, and we have a proven template, if you like, a methodology for putting together this information in the right way. And as part of this program, you're going to get access to that, and it's what we call a resume builder. So it would help build the resume that you need. But regardless of whether you use my builder or not, you need to put time and effort into creating a really compelling resume that is going to showcase your skills, your experience, your competencies in the best possible way. And you can get really confused with different people with different advice, but for my mind, if the document is getting you in the door for a conversation, then it's ticking the box, it's doing the job. I think you want to step back and go back to the attribute list. You want to have a really good think about what it is you're aiming to do, and that document has to support that. Now, where most people trip up, especially senior executives who've had, a number of roles and titles and so on over many years, is they try and jam everything into this document. They try and really incorporate all their experience over decades and really try and put too much into the document. Whereas the key to your success is what you take out. And when you're starting to apply for a senior role, you want to take out the junior work experience. You want to take out some of the old work histories, because you really want to showcase how you can support the company with that more senior aspect to your experience. So the key is really to edit very carefully and put the information together in the right way. And as I said, take out some of the experience that might no longer be relevant for that more senior role. Less is sometimes more, and you really want to tailor these documents very heavily. That's the second mistake most people make, is they try and get one document to fit every single application, and it's just impossible to do. So you're most likely going to end up with at least 3 or 4 different types of application documents, and that would then be heavily customized still for each application, and it would be supported by a tailored, very, very heavily tailored cover letter. I don't believe in cover letter templates. These are just a disaster because people can read them and they'll instantly know it's a template. So you really, putting in that extra effort can make a massive difference in tailoring the application to just what the employer needs. Now, if you do see something advertised on LinkedIn or Seek, for example, what I usually do is I print out the job ad itself, and I underline all the key competencies that they're looking for, all the experience that they're looking for. And these ads are usually quite cleverly written. You might think they're not, but somebody usually from HR has vetted this ad and they've put documentation, they've given you clues to what they're looking for. They will tell you they need a senior project manager with experience in enterprise grade SAP implementations, for example. So you take that piece of paper, you underline all the key things they're looking for, and then you have to tailor your resume to fit that brief. And in particular, the first page of the resume, it has to match. So when the people are screening at the other end, they quickly screen the first page of the resume. And if you're not ticking the boxes, what they're exactly looking for, they're not going to bring you in for an interview. So we want to try and aim to get that strike strike rate on the resume up very, very high, particularly when you're applying for roles that are a very good fit for yourself. And, it should be around 75 to 80%, which sounds incredibly high, but that's roughly where it needs to be to get successfully into the recruitment process. You also need to be aware of the way employers now work. Often before they even bring you in for an interview, they have Googled you and they've had a look at your LinkedIn profile. They might have had a look at your Facebook page. And it's absolutely critical that your online brand is set up extremely well. I recommend Googling Social Selling Index. It is a tool provided complimentary by LinkedIn, and it will tell you how good your LinkedIn profile is, and it will give you some quite good tips on how to improve your LinkedIn profile. And I'm going to include a few snapshots of my own LinkedIn profile and how I manage that myself. So you can have a look at that. But it's really key that those two components are very well put together, because it does in fact dictate whether you're going to be brought in for interview or whether you go into the rejection pile. And we want to really improve that strike rate. So we're making 100 approaches in 100 days, and we really want to get in for interview wherever possible. The third area where people trip up is they often apply for a role that just simply is not suitable for them. You're either applying for a role that's too senior and it's out of your reach at this point. You're trying to get the employer to take too much of a risk by putting someone without that experience into the job, or you're trying to apply for a more junior position because you're out of work and you want to try and get re-employed. And you think because you used to be a CIO, you could now try and do some project work, and you're applying for the wrong type of role. Now, even if you try and dumb down your CV, which some people will try and do, employers will see through that very, very quickly. And I hate to say it, but they're not going to engage with you. And you think about it from the employer's perspective. Why would they hire someone who is too senior into a junior role? Because as soon as the market picks up, as soon as things, improve, you're going to be off. You're going to, apply for a more senior role that you're more suitable for. So dumbing down CVs and or trying to apply for a role that's too senior is not going to work. So we need to just get those basics right. Now, if you tailor your CV, if you tailor your cover letter, you've got a very good chance of getting in for interview. But I'm going to give you one more secret hack, which I use all the time, which has proven to be very successful. I never send out a CV without speaking to the recruiter first. It is absolutely key. And a lot of people don't like to pick up the telephone these days. I don't know why that is. Everyone loves to just send out emails. But if you really want to increase your strike rate, increase your chances of success, you must speak to the headhunter beforehand, the recruiter, or whoever is the representative handling that role. Now, I know that's not always possible. Sometimes they actually set the ad up that you can't find out who's involved with the recruitment process and there's no one to call. But where there is a person who you can call and ask for information, there's a couple of things I do. Firstly, I ring either very early in the morning or I ring sort of late in the evening. So my time zones for ringing, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. or 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So often you find that there's, you can get to the decision maker on the telephone. You often find with recruiters, they're in the office very early because they're going to go into interviews all day. And so 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., they often pick the phone up. You'd be surprised. I've always been able to get hold of people in these little magical time zone windows. So you ring and you have to follow a call script. And I have a proven sort of call script that works very well. So you'll ring up and you'll say, Peter, thanks for taking my call. It's Kylie Hammond calling you. I've seen that you're advertising for an HR director. I just have a few quick questions about the role. Now, it's very important that you don't pitch yourself for the role. The point of this call is to build rapport with the headhunter, not to get him offside. So the 3 questions I'm going to ask is, firstly, when are you planning to shortlist for this position? That's an important question because it will tell me what is the process. When are they planning to shortlist? It gives me some insight into the recruitment process. So if I send my CV today, I'm probably not going to hear from them for 2 weeks because they're not shortlisting till the end of the month. So it's a good question to ask. When are you planning to shortlist? Second question, have you worked with this company before? Are they a good employer? Is there anything you can tell me about their company culture? Most recruiters would be very happy to talk about the company that they're representing, and they might give you some insight into the company. They might say something like, they're an employer of choice. I've worked with them many times. I've recruited most of the executive team. We regard them very highly. So that'd be helpful to know that you're dealing with a really good employer, and also that the recruiter themselves has a good relationship with the company. And then the third question might be something to do with the ad that you've seen. You could say something like, I noticed in the ad that you were, that I'd be responsible for expanding the operations into Singapore. Can you tell me anything more about that expansion? All right, 3 quick questions, all right? And you've gathered some information, and you can use that information to tailor your cover letter. So this is now the secret to the call script. Then I would say something like, thank you very much for your time on the call. Just repeating, it was Kylie Hammond speaking to you. You will have my CV in your inbox within the next day or 2. Now, it's a perfect call because what it has done is it's alerted the person to your application. He's waiting for the application to now come across, and you've gathered information that's going to be very helpful to enable you to tailor that cover letter, again, to make your application stand out. And these are the sorts of things you need to be prepared to do to stand out from the competition. When I'm running recruitment processes, and I will often have 100 applicants, guess how many people call me on the telephone with a professional call script like what I've just described to you? It is usually less than 1 person. Sometimes it's nobody at all. That's the nature of the new world we're all living in. Nobody bothers to telephone each other. Everyone's reliant on email. Now, if you want to stand out and you're a senior business executive, I strongly encourage you, get on the phones. Use the phone as your sort of secret weapon to getting to the key decision makers, building rapport so that when your CV goes across, it stands out of the pile.